Hello everybody, welcome back. Today, we're showing you a whole bunch of building tips and principles that you can apply to your very own builds. If you enjoy, like and subscribe, and let's get into it. For these building principles and techniques, I've put them into a sort of a mnemonic, if you'd like to remember them like that, if you're trying to build your own thing and that's kind of difficult to remember. And that mnemonic is goal cased. And that stands for gradient, ocular focus, authorship, lighting, contrast, asymmetry, shape, extras, and depth. And each of these building principles, they're very widely used. So I thought I'd share these with you just as a helpful reference guide. So the very first technique is gradient. And of course, I would like to show you a very basic example of how to set one up. So what you want to do first, you want to find a couple of different block types, let's say calcite to blackstone, and we have to find as many blocks we can fit in between these two blocks, and they have to slowly shade from here to here. To do this, we have to find the next grayest block. You just want to slowly edge your way this direction, one block at a time. As you can see, here's a finished block palette. You can use this in any build design whatsoever. Starts with white concrete powder, goes to calcite, diorite, light gray concrete powder, andesite, stone, gravel, tuff, gray concrete powder, gray wool, smooth basalt, cobble, deep slate, black stone, and block of coal. And each of these, you can just stack these up in any sort of build. Like, let's say you want to build a tower. And with this, you can very slowly and naturally do this. Kind of place blocks at will. And then you can go up to the next, which is blackstone, and then slowly fade into it. These gradients, what they do is they force your eye to go from the bottom to the top. And that, my friends, is principle one. Very simple, very easy. Just gradients. Figure out a palette, then add that to whatever build. It doesn't matter what color these are. It doesn't have to be white to black. It could be any color, pink, red, yellow, whatever it is. This second principle I'd like to explain is called ocular draw. And it's a term I kind of made up myself, but it means where does your eye go when you look at a build? But let's just build a platform. With this platform, you're looking at it, and there's no central focus for your eye. Your eye just looks at the platform and it's like, okay, but what else? To draw someone's eye, all you have to do is you have to add some sort of difference, some sort of focal point, like this light in the middle. Now, where does your eye go? You look at this, you're not looking at the platform anymore. Now you're looking at the light because it's the one anomaly within this entire perfect square. And with this, you want to apply that to whatever builds you're creating. If you're building a tower, you want your eye drawn to the top. If you're building something circular, generally the center. Anything, any build can be used with this if there's some sort of focal point in anything besides just its function. Okay, so now with gradients and ocular draw covered, let's go to the third and possibly most difficult principle. Every build you want to create, quite simply, if you want it to feel like a real build and for it to feel like it has a purpose, you need authorship. And what do I mean by authorship? I mean your build has to tell a story. If I'm going to look at somebody's build, and let's say it's just my base on Mayhem MC, for example. That base, it has a story. The story is the gem falls from the sky and it creates this massive crater, and some sort of company comes along, builds towers next to it to begin harvesting the energy that they found from this gem. I, of course, haven't fully thought through everything. It doesn't have to be every single detail, because of course I'm not finished with it. But something as basic as that even, you can incorporate something like that into your builds, just to give them that extra little bit, and everybody will appreciate that. Okay, so the fourth concept you really want to think about is lighting. And as you can see, I've built this little mushroom house, and it's not lit anywhere, and the interior isn't even done. But just as an example, the sun's up, it looks just fine in the sunlight, you know? It's got the dark under here, the light all around the center. So, if I set it to night, the problem with this is that there's zero illumination. The thing about lighting is that you have to find a way to subtly incorporate it without it impeding on the way that this looks. So like spamming torches around this build, that wouldn't really work. What you want to do, you want to be able to hang things or hide lights in certain places that you wouldn't really notice. Sometimes you can hide lights under grass, but for this particular example, you can really easily hide something like a frog light underneath these stairs. And then to make it look nice, you can just put in like a log or something next to it. So as you can see, I've put in lights around here, and they work really well because they illuminate both the underside of this at night, and they also accent this part. And of course, I haven't done anything about this blending here, but it does help quite a bit to illuminate this mushroom, and you can even take a step back and it looks really nice. But this is exactly what you want to do for lighting. You want to make it unobtrusively incorporated within the build. If you set it to daytime, it's really quite simple. It's unobtrusive, it works well. That's exactly what you want for a lighting source. The fifth concept is contrast. And contrast is something you need to be very conscious of that you don't overuse, because sometimes it can be a problem. If you're going about using contrast in just random places, it's not going to necessarily work unless that's the style of your build. But the contrast is something like wax oxidized copper and normal copper. One's blue and the other's orange. They're on different sides of the color wheel. And that's what contrast is. You take one block from one side of the color wheel, another block from the other side. You have blue and orange, like copper. Contrast. Boom. Contrast. All of these different type of blocks contrast each other, and you have to make sure you use them sparingly. But if used correctly, they can really help your build out quite a bit. The sixth building concept I'd like to introduce is asymmetry. And basically, asymmetry is, how does your build look natural? Most modern industrial builds will be symmetrical. You cut a line down the center, and both sides, if you fold them on top of each other, they're exactly the same. But with asymmetry, what you want is you want both sides to be different. And lots of natural things are like this, natural builds. What you don't want is for both sides to be equal. Like if I'm going to make a symmetrical tree, this is the last thing you want, is for your tree to look exactly the same on both sides. And you just have to think about, okay, where is this going? Does it look natural? And then as you spread stuff like leaves on top of it, you just want to make sure that everything is different from its counterpart. So if you're trying to build something that looks natural, it needs to almost always be asymmetrical. As you can see, the use of asymmetry in this build has worked out really quite nicely, and all I've used is two different blocks. Both the sixth concept and the seventh concept are very alike, and the seventh concept is shape. So shape, you really just want to think, how does my build look without any color, without anything separate from its geometry? So with shape, you need to think about, what do I want my build to look like without any color? How do I want to set all of this up so that everything fits piece by piece? Asymmetry is nothing but a factor of shape, and it's used for natural building. But with shape, you need to think about, okay, is it square? Is it a circle? Is it tall? Is it short? Is it rounded? All of these things factor into shape, and sometimes the shape of a build needs to be determined first before you go into color. Very simply, that is what shape is. The eighth concept is extras or function. When you go to create some sort of build, the primary idea in somebody's head is, what is this build's function? What does it do that I'm building it for? And that might not always be exactly what you're trying to aim for, Because if you're going to build something, if you're just building it based off of its function, then it's not necessarily going to look good. But if you take all of these concepts together, and you also think about the function, you really can have a complete idea of what you want your build to do and what you want it to look like. So this right here, I built this because, let's say, I need a way to smelt a whole bunch of items, like, let's say, glass, and I didn't want it to look completely awful, just standalone furnaces. That's what you want to have in mind when you're thinking about extras, is the function of the build. What does the build do? And really, it's not that complicated. Like, if you're building a farm, the function is what it's farming. If you're building a furnace array, the function is the furnaces. If you're building a messaging system, the function is the messages. Most builds are thought about from a function standpoint rather than what it looks like. So this is probably one of the easiest concepts to understand. And last but most certainly not least is depth. And depth is the thought of what in my build makes my build stand out. This is just a blank wall. It took me 30 seconds to set up. There's no extra little details, and depth is basically what that is. It doesn't add much. This is still flat, but depth is adding the little extra things on the side of the windows, like fences, to make it pop out a little bit. Using different blocks in your build makes sure that it doesn't look too bland. Like, using variation in different types of block, it makes it look a lot better than it really was before. So stuff like slabs, trapdoors, fences, that's basically what depth is. It just lets things pop out of your build like that. Now that you've seen all of these different concepts demonstrated, how will you use these in your very own Minecraft builds? Because each of them, while complicated, if you use them all together and you think about them all at once, you can make something that looks truly quite remarkable. And while most of these are just demonstrations, I will probably use something like this block palette in future builds. I truly think that if you apply these 9 concepts, your builds will look a lot better. That's my hope for you. So I've had a lot of fun making this video, and truly, if you enjoyed, please subscribe. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.